So I'm here in my studio, and I thought the easiest way to respond to Michelle's question regarding the tonal study was just to show what I'm looking for. So it's a little awkward, but I have a couple of cans set up here. And the easiest thing to think about with the tonal study is that you're really trying to get that distinct difference between the lightest part and the darkest part on the object. So a really good way to start is to start by just really lightly blocking in some of the shapes and forms that are in front of you. And especially if you look to the darkest part of that shape. So there's kind of a edge goes up my can that's quite dark because it's in shadow, and then there's a lip that goes under the can. It's in shadow. And then what you want to try to do is you want to try to start to determine from those darks to set up a series of the different tones that you see. So just going to block in my other can a little better here. I'm adjusting my shapes as I look at them. I'm going to put in a little bit of a line to show where the edge of my can goes to. And again, there's a really dark shadow that happens along the edge of my can. And then kind of goes through. Okay, so now I know that there's some medium dark areas that are also along the edge of the can. So I'm going to start by using a rubbing motion to block in that medium area. And then I know that it's slightly darker along the seam of the can, but not as dark as my darkest part on the edge. So again, I'm going to smear that. I've applied the material more lightly so that it won't go as dark. So I'm just putting down a light line. Then I'm going to use my finger to move the charcoal around the page so that I have a little bit of the edge that I'm representing. So now along this side of the can that's more into darkness, and I'm working pretty quickly here, I know that there's a whole area of the can that is in darkness. So I'm going to lay down my value that I see, and then I'm going to come back in and lay down some of the line that is a part of that value. And again, I'm laying down a thinner line, and then I'm thickening it with my finger to describe more of what I'm actually seeing in front of me. And then there's sort of places where there is a little bit of a shadow that's falling onto this can. Notice how I'm looking at the can more than I'm looking at my page that I'm drawing on. So I can see that there is a shadow that kind of goes about here on the can. There's a thinner one that goes here, and there's a thicker one that goes here. I'm working in compressed charcoal that really allows me to play with what I'm seeing in front of me. If I was working in something a little harder, like graphite, I might actually have to come in and apply that tone to the spot. And then I'm going to come in across with the darker tone that I can see. So a lot of rubbing is very effective in tonal studies. Also thinking about how you layer the tone. So if I start out by putting in my mid-tones, that leaves my highlights and my darks to add in afterwards. So for example, on the top of the can here, it's got kind of a mid-tone, then it's got a lighter part, then it's got another mid-tone, and then it's got a lighter part, and then it's got another mid-tone. And I'm working quite fast here to try to show you what I'm trying to achieve, but if I took a little more time, I could really start to see the darks and lights in this can. And I could see how, again, there's sort of a darkness that comes around the edge of the can. So again, I'm going to put that whole dark tone in, and then I'm going to come back through and drag through my darker tone that is the crinkles in the can. So I hope that helps to give you some technique for how you can start to work up the tonal study. So really rubbing, really applying and the material through a rubbing process, and also really watching carefully for where there are light and dark tones on the can. That's going to make an effective tonal study. So I hope that helps, and I hope you have fun doing these projects.